That's my number one goal. Learning the charts, learning patterns, learning how to see structure. We all can learn that fairly quickly. It's mastering risk management. And that was what I strive every day to get 1% better on.
Alrighty, thanks so much, guys. So today with me, Danny, and one of our new funded trader. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. A pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. So we usually do that with other funded traders because first we want to understand and kind of get to know them a little bit better before they get in, real capital to trade on. And besides that, we want to give other traders, the light at the end of the tunnel and give them the knowledge that you can provide them as one that went through the process, maybe some tips and tricks that will get them eventually to, follow your lead and become funded as well. So
sounds good.
Yeah. So let's start maybe from the beginning. Danny, tell me a little bit about your the first time you got into trading, basically what got you into that, and a little bit of history.
Interesting story about that. I was exposed to trading. My mother in the 80s worked at First Interstate Bank in downtown Los Angeles in the United States, obviously. And the Pacific Stock Exchange was down the street from her. And she took me as a young kid to the Pacific Stock Exchange. And I saw that and immediately became just excited and thrilled to the action that was going on down there. That was my first exposure to any type of trading. That lit a fire very young age that I wanted to be that trader, if you will. But it wasn't until obviously later in life that I started learning about trading when I had some excess capital and I started putting my money with a manager, a portfolio manager. Yeah. And watching his trades and what he was trying to do. And unfortunately, it went south and we lost a good size of our capital. And this is a licensed money manager who it's his job to be a professional in risk management. Yeah. And he actually ended up losing the whole account. Wow. And that was a shock to me because I thought, well, I don't have the experience and I know I want to get into trading. So let me hire a professional trading manager. Yeah. And after that, I made the commitment that if he could lose it, I could lose it. My own money. Let me learn and let me get good and let me learn how to master something. And that's the journey that I'm on. My journey is I want to learn how to master day trading.
That's amazing. I mean, you did quite well. I got to tell you, you did quite well. Let's talk a little bit about that. So, how long ago, by the way, did you start to trade?
I started taking it seriously on my own. Like I said, after this happened with this portfolio manager, it was January of 2022, so 14 months ago approximately, that I dove headfirst into training. Wow. So 14 months.
14 months, right. So,
and since then, yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I mean, 14 months, in most cases, a normal trader will call it, or just a retail trader that open an account with a broker will usually won't make it as a trader within 14 months. And you actually kind of did that. You actually proved that traders with, I guess, and we will touch that in a minute, with the right approach and with the right risk management, can actually achieve that goal, even only, I'm saying, trading for a year and a little bit. Yeah.
Now, I'd like to qualify that in that it's 14 months of, I would say, 4 to sometimes 10 hours a day, maybe more, of studying, of learning, of watching videos, watching vlogs, reading books, screen time, going through lessons over and over and over. It's almost, even when I was at work. So I had the luxury while I was at work to be able to study, either listening to audio or on downtime reading books. So I can honestly say for 14 months, I've probably put in between 30 to 60 hours a week of learning, training, studying, practicing, screen time, applying, trading, making mistakes, making money, losing money, making money, losing money, while developing my style.
And in those 14 months, it was on your own capital, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
it was mostly paper trading to start out, and then really quickly thinking, oh, I think I got it, and then putting my own capital to risk. And that went well for a short time, but really quickly blowing the account up. And I think the mentality was I was more lucky than skillful. And when I started to analyze what I was doing nothing more at the beginning than gambling, essentially. I started off in the stock market doing earnings, and that is the worst place for anyone to start.
Yeah.
And it was during earnings season when I started and I started following some people and quickly blew up an account, basically gambling on earnings.
Right. Just buying before the earnings or selling?
Correct. Buying before the earnings and holding large positions overnight, when now I like trading options. I'm an options trader. And now I specifically trade SPY. And now realizing with options that you could still do earnings plays. You could buy contracts, either calls or puts, before the earnings, let's say the day before, the IV starts to spike. And there's times when you could be on the wrong side, but you're making money because the IV is spiking. And so there's so many things that I've learned since those beginning days of just pure gambling, essentially.
Yeah. Those are good days to learn from, right?
Unfortunately, I put good capital to learn, and I will suggest that to anyone listening, watching, anybody I talk to, do not ever put good amount of capital in your first year of trading.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to have like a skin in the game, but not risking a big amount of capital. And especially today when you really have traded pool, I'm biased, but still, you don't really need to risk more than 300, 400, maybe a little bit more than that, in order to trade, get qualified, and from there basically get funded. So that makes sense.
Agreed.
So let's talk a little bit about your trading just before we'll go to the your hub and the dashboard to see the stats and understand what happened there. What is your favorite strategy? What you're actually looking for? How do you find your edge?
Through the training, the first main strategy that I learned was as a trend pullback trader. I like to look for breakouts and health and momentum of the trend, and looking for the pullback, get in and step on the gas. I've also learned, obviously, ranges, because 80% of the time the market is ranging. So we have to learn strategies on how to play those ranges. Selling at the top, buying at the bottom of the range, with the bias to whichever the trend direction is going. So if the trend direction is going up, obviously when I buy from the bottom, I want to see if it's going to break out. So I'll have a little more wiggle room that direction. But if I'm selling from the top, but the trend has been going up, I'll be very careful, and I will take my profits maybe halfway down the range instead of letting it go all the way to the bottom. So those are two strategies that I use: a trend pullback trader and range bound trading.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let me share for a second the screen, and we can talk about it. It would be very interesting to see it and understand what happened there in both cases. When you made a nice move to the upside, but also on the downside. So I guess here it is. Okay, should be on right now. And basically, yes. So we're looking at your evaluation phase, and you know what, you did it pretty fast, right? It was from like 17 days or so, a little bit even less than that. And
it was pretty quick.
Yeah, very quick. And what really got my attention when I look into your trades is two things. First, the nice move to the upside, very nice chart, and going up, pulling back like a very beautiful trend. But then when you reach the top of the 16,000, you had a crazy drop. And I want to talk a little bit about that. What made you go all the way back, basically? I mean, mentally and technically, what made you do that? What happened there?
That's a good question. Do you have the date on that? The day of the drop? Is that March 14th?
13, yeah, 13, and a little bit to the drawdown. You reach also 14, but the main drop was on the 13. Yeah,
right. And I don't recall exactly the trade, because that was right before the banking news. And again, I trade SPY, so the ticker in this, all I'm trading in this challenge is, since there's no options available, I chose XPXL or XPY.
Right.
Yeah. The SPY long and short that is leveraged 3 times of the SPY, essentially.
SPXL, yeah.
SPXL. So XPXL, my longs, and then XPSX on my short when it's going down, when the SPYs are going down. And I was so upset because I was so close on that first bull run that I had, that I got it up there. And psychologically, something happened to me that was basically greed is what got the best of me right there, because I was so close to getting to that challenge, and I went for it, and I was on the wrong side right away. And the good thing about your program that I really love is that there's a stop loss per trade, and there's a stop loss for the day. And thank goodness, because the way I got overheated, I could have blown somebody's account, my own account, or Trade the Pool's account. So what I really love about the Trade the Pool is those risk parameters that are set in stone, and it stopped you out. And essentially what happened, it stopped me out for the day.
Right.
Obviously, once it started going against my direction, I tried to average down, and it happened so quick because I was using a large percentage of the capital to get me to the target area. Essentially, I was so close to that target area. I was so upset at myself for that day. And again, I'm really thankful for this program, because I think most people trading their own money, the reason they fail, myself included, is these set parameters are not in place. We don't have a daily loss limit that we set for ourselves. We may set it for ourselves, but once it gets there, we just ignore it and keep going. Where this program is beautiful. And I wish all traders could have this type of setup on their own individual accounts.
Yeah. So, what do you think will be a good lesson taken from that drop? What will be what did you learn, basically?
Good question. The biggest lesson has to have been to stop when I was at those levels, and especially so close to my target. Stop and evaluate how great of a job that I did, because that was a great trade that I took that allowed me to get to that level. Stop and scale down to complete the mission, to complete the goal, to get to that target. Would have been the lesson is stop, take a breather, go walk around the yard, go walk around the house, take my dog for a walk, and come back with a fresh, focused mind to be able to reach that next target, which was not too far away. And from there, I could have scaled down to protect the gains that I had. I lost all the gains. And you see, I even went to a drawdown. Those levels and the risk management there is 100% the most important thing for me and for any trader, is that risk management. And every day we struggle with that, and I myself included. And that is the one thing that I have to master to be a master trader, obviously. Risk management. Being profitable is not about always being right.
That's true.
It's about good risk management. And my teachers, my mentors, they continuously tell us every day. One of my mentors, Eric, has a saying, and I have it on my screen, so I'm going to read off of it. In the trading fraternity, a respected trader's worth is measured by how well they manage risk.
Yeah.
My goal is to be part of that fraternity with yourself, the winners that you have in your organization, and all the traders that are successful. They're successful because they have learned how to master managing risk. That's my number one goal. Learning the charts, learning patterns, learning how to see structure. We all can learn that fairly quickly. It's mastering risk management. And that was what I strive every day to get 1% better on.
That's amazing. You're absolutely right on that. Yeah, so you got into that drawdown. You had like a few good days when you struggled. You tried to bounce up, went down again. How did you manage to get out of that drawdown and not basically blowing the account, the valuation account? What was the change? How did you shift that?
Patience. I waited for the setups that I know and the setups that I like. I was very cautious too, because we were also in those days, if I'm not mistaken, 314, 315, that was the news of the banking, the bank that went down. So there was a lot of volatility. And for day traders, volatility is excellent.
Yeah.
That's what we look for. But I had to be very careful, because that can also lead to a quick loss of an account, or in this case, the challenge. So I had to be very sure when there was momentum on my side before I got back in with some volume. So I would scale back, and I kind of was a chicken at first. Obviously, if it didn't go my way right away, I cut.
Okay.
And that also is actually my goal, to cut as soon as possible, because we could always re-enter. And I'm learning, since this is not options, I don't have to rush. In options, obviously, we have time decay, so the move has to happen right away. When you're not trading options, just trading regular shares, it's a mindset adjustment that I have to make, that it allows me to have more patience. So that was the foundation there.
So
yes,
waiting until you see the right setup, and then go in, basically. Yeah, and you did it pretty beautifully. I mean, I saw, obviously, we have a lot of traders on the evaluation, and also as funded traders. And I go through literally every day, go through a lot of dashboards and look at the trades they're making, and the way they react when they have a drawdown, or maybe when they, like you did, they had a great run. Always looking at their trades just to try to see, get the idea, the technical wise, obviously, but also the mentality, the psychological aspect of it, of where they're at and where they've been, and try to predict maybe what will be the next move, basically. You can beautifully, in your charts is perfect. You can actually see like a head and shoulder pattern, right? Just at the top after an run, and the double bottom here that pushed the price higher, just like a normal chart of a stock.
Right.
Yeah, you did great. I see a nice move to the upside, consolidating and pushing, continue to push to the upside all the way to the target. So, and again, you did it within 16 days. So it's also an amazing and very inspiring for other traders. We have traders that pass it within 7 days, but also guys that are fighting for 3 months or even 4, trying to push and reach that goal. So looking at your chart and the stats, it's amazing to see what you did. So congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So
I worked hard. 14 months of, like I said, 30 to 60-hour weeks studying, learning, training. And I think that's what it takes. There's no shortcut. And I'm still learning. And I expect that within the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you'll see a completely different trader in me, a more disciplined trader, hopefully a master of risk management. That's my goal.
That's amazing.
Because once we can master risk management and our emotions, that's all you need.
Yeah, and we will definitely help on our side, controlling the risk and basically giving you enough space and tools to really overcome those obstacles that any retail trader have. And like I said, maybe I'm biased, but this is why I really love what we are doing. And obviously, as you mentioned it as well, when we control the risk and give you the ability to, really forget about it and don't really need to pay attention to the daily loss, because we will cut you as soon as you reach that. You will have enough space or room to really make right decision and logical decision, and focusing on the trading part. while we help you, with the boundaries.
I appreciate that about your program. I can't speak highly enough about Trade the Pool and what it offers. The opportunity for anyone to study, learn, and apply their edges, learn their strategies, and be able to access a pool and a support system like this.
Nice. And did you use one of the programs that we offer, Trade Ideas or Trend Spiders?
I didn't use them. I look at them every day, and I see the ideas, and I'm on the Discord, and I see the ideas of the day, what's coming up, and as you guys suggest, I pay attention to the VIX very carefully, and like I said, I only after my first foray 14 months ago into playing the earnings of UPS, Amazon, Apple, and I would play everything, whatever somebody suggested. Oh, look at this, I would play it. Once I calmed down and I found the proper mentors, I narrowed it down to one ticker, and SPY, or the Qs even for some people, is the best ticker because you have volatility and you have liquidity. And I made the decision to focus and master one ticker. Just like a lady, you learn when they're in a good mood, when they're in a bad mood, when they're aggressive, or when they're submissive. And by focusing on just one, I could start learning the patterns on how that one ticker moves. And with SPY, even on a ranging day, when it doesn't move but more than 1% either direction, there's still an opportunity to make some money. Oh. So that's my strategy, is one ticker. I pay attention to the Qs because that obviously the tech industry is heavily weighted in the SPY, at least the top 12%. So I do pay attention to that. So I pay attention to the Qs, Apple, obviously I play the SPY, and the VIX.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great tip for anyone, either a beginner or an advanced trader. Sometimes it's so easy to go and look at scanners and try to catch a few stocks out of the big scanners that will show you like 20 different symbols. But in today's market, you can easily trade, like you said, SPY or the Qs, IWM, DIA, because they are so volatile with a lot of volume. So you can just go with them and stick to them, and you will basically will be able to see the patterns and get familiar with the price action of that symbol. So that's a good tip for anyone. Anything else that you can, I don't know, give like advice for a trader that just, you listen to the interview, you join Trade the Pool? What will be the first step or the right approach you would recommend him to do?
I believe for any trader, even if they've been doing it for some time or a brand new trader, you have to learn structure. That is the foundation. Otherwise, you're just gambling if you have a bias of, I think it's going to go up or I think it's going to go down. I've been taught and trained that structure is number one. We have to identify structure. Once you could identify the structure, then you could prepare yourself with the setups that are being developed. Another important thing is the logic of trading. We have to know overall, zoom out and take a big picture of the logic of trading and the buyers and the sellers. Who's in control? Which territory are we in? We're either in a buyer's territory or a seller's territory. And once you identify which territory you're in, then you could look for that direction because it'll make it a lot easier. Mm-hmm. So if we're in right now, for example, in the SPY, we're in a bear rally. So we're in buyer's territory. All the dips are getting bought up.
Yeah.
And we're slowly climbing up since, I don't want to say since the 10th, actually. We've been having a nice climb up.
Yeah.
We've been range bound for the past 4 months. So we're in a range, and there's going to be a big break one direction or another, and we don't know which way it's going to be, and I'm not going to guess which way it's going to be. But what I do know is the longer the range, the bigger the breakout is going to be. And you could back test that. I was taught that, and I back tested it, and it's obvious. No matter what chart you're on, the 1 minute, the 15 minute, the 1 hour, or the daily, the longer the range, the bigger the break is going to be out of that. So I use that to also help me see the health and momentum that is possible once there is going to be a break of the range. So learning structure, learning the territory you're in, either the buyers or the sellers. And one very important thing is, I would say, to learn to master one strategy over and over and over. Practice it, apply it, evaluate it, and go back and implement it, and then evaluate it, see what you did right, what you did wrong. And when you learn to master one strategy, let's say a trend pullback, mm-hmm. and you do it enough times over and over, you will begin to develop an intuition. And this intuition will give you confidence that when you see that again, I have the confidence to maybe step on the gas and apply a little more capital, because I've been in this situation many times and I could quickly see when it goes wrong. Or my intuition is usually correct a high percentage of the time, that this trend pullback is correct and it hasn't failed and it's going to go. So I may be able to step on the gas, especially on the first leg and the second leg of a breakout. Mm-hmm. I think that's also a good tip. Is it's the most advantageous time to get into a trend is the first and the second leg. If the first leg has strong health and momentum, the odds are the second leg is also going to be healthy enough. So the first pullback has a high percentage of success.
Yeah.
So those things for a new trader: structure, territories, buyer or seller territory, where am I in, and practicing one strategy and mastering that strategy. And the last but most important, I would say, is risk management. As my days count down here, every day I realize that is the most important. If you stay in the game, you will win, because once you master the strategy, now you have risk management. If you master risk management, you will never lose. I mean, I don't mean you'll never lose a trade, but you'll never lose your capital, and you'll always have a slow climb. And that's what I'd like to see on my graph. I don't want to see a huge jump and then a dump and then a huge jump again and then another dump. That's not a healthy way to trade.
Yeah, that's great tips and advice. I mean, a lot of traders that will listen to this video will definitely have, like, aha moment when they realize and sit down and just analyze the stuff that you just mentioned here. So thanks for that. All right, Danny. So from here, I will wish you, of course, good luck on your funded account for both of us. And hopefully we will have another chat after you will draw some of the funds that you will make.
Absolutely.
And I would love to see your progress. And of course, feel free to share it with the Discord channel as well. Guys, I see also in my time, when I started to trade, I was super alone. And, when finally I found some friends and groups that involved in trading, it was really helpful for me to push myself furthermore. Because I saw others that made it or making it, and that really pushed me mentally to do that as well.
Thank you, and I look forward to continuing our relationship. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to being able to interact with you a lot more.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All righty, Danny. So we'll talk. Take care for now.
Very well. Have a good day.